Now, this is quite worrying. The spate of attacks, the rise in attacks that we've now been seeing since September. What do you make of it? Where is this coming from, and how worried is the Christian community in Karnataka?
Yes, sir. I must say that we are worried. The Christians in Karnataka are confused, and there are a lot of signals coming around to say that it's not good to be a Christian today in Karnataka. I must say that, sometime back our Honorable Chief Minister, I have much regard for him, but then he made a statement regarding moral policing to say that action and reaction, perhaps that was taken quite strongly by these vigilante groups. And what started as moral policing, it has reached also the religious policing now. And as you have rightly said, there are so many attacks already in Karnataka, which is a very peace-loving state and very decent and cultured people here. But I can't understand this intolerance and almost to the extent of a hate campaign against the Christians that is continuing day after day.
What do you,
Today's paper,
Right.
yes.
what do you make of, those are very strong words you're saying, that it's almost become like difficult or dangerous or risky to be a Christian in Karnataka. Very concerning. But what do you make of this allegation that is being used as a ruse to carry out these attacks, that there are forcible conversions taking place? Is there any proof of this?
Sir, I would say that, this allegation it's a bogey that has been charged against us, that we are forcefully converting, that we are using fraudulent methods, and also that perhaps we are incentivizing certain sections of our people. But even if I give a credit to the government to say these things, there are laws and regulations in the country. The constitution itself is very much, I would say, so much secular to say that we have the freedom. Article 25 says we have the freedom to preach, to practice, and also to propagate our religion. Article number 14 also speaks of no discrimination, no partiality, etc. And there are almost, I think, 10 to 15 sections in the IPC Act that can be utilized in order to bring up any sort of, if there is a force to take action against us.
Yes.
But this does not warrant bringing in a new law that's called the anti-conversion law,
Right.
which I am sure will be anti-Christian law. And we are scared of that.
When you see these visuals, I mean, of groups going into churches and prayer halls, conducting bhajans inside them, in some cases beating and roughing up the congregation, and at the same time, it's not very clear whether the police is taking action against those who are actually carrying out the violence. In some cases, they're actually trying to target or take action against the Christians there.
Yeah, this is very sad, sir, because, whatever we have a rule of law, in Karnataka, we have a good police also, that they should take action against these people who are attacking than those who are attacked. Now, the attacked are considered as being guilty already. They are given no freedom to express themselves, and perhaps even filing a police complaint in the villages and isolated places is very, very dangerous for them. We rely on the police to guide
Right.
us, to guard us, and to protect us. And if the police force is itself not doing its duty, as you have said in Belgavi, to say that don't say prayers, don't say or use your churches, etc. This is as good as to say that we live in an artificial atmosphere, that desecularized and de-religious also. I think this is not a good sign or signal that is coming from the police and the government.
What is going on? How is the Christian community dealing with this? Are you all in touch with each other? What sort of ways in which you are trying to kind of push back or protect yourself against all this?
Sir, first of all, we all had a day of prayer and fasting to pray for the government that good sense may prevail. Secondly, we are trying to make known to our people, and especially, we have so many schools. We have in Bangalore about 1,000 schools and hospitals and clinics where students are learning. There's not a single case of conversion. And so we are trying to make the people understand that this is just a bogey that's all of a sudden it has come back in last 2 months because of certain accusation of a certain politician who has made against us. And I don't think there is truth in that. That there's a newspaper report today that in Pasadurga, the place where the MLA, Mr. Ramesh, I think Gulati, and there the police had ordered of its own door-to-door survey of 4 villages, and the Tahsildar reports in today's newspaper, I have read it, to say that in 2 villages there was no force at all, and there was freedom. Perhaps if there were some conversions, they were very, very voluntary conversions. So in the background of this, what does the government has to say?
Right. Well, last question to you. You said you actually held a day of prayers for the government. Was that today when did you hold the prayers for the government?
Sir, it was last week. Last
week.
2 Fridays.
Right.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, have you approached, has the Christian community, the church approached the chief minister, government to?
Yes, sir. We personally, I have sent my appeals to the chief minister. We, the bishops, together, about 14 bishops of the whole of Karnataka, met the chief minister.
Okay.
And besides, we are also having a rally in which, or perhaps a peaceful assembly, by which once again we try to convince the government to say that we are surely not happy with this anti-conversion law, which is going to be surely anti-Christian law.
Anti-Christian law.